The ancient halls of the Galactic Senate had never witnessed such silence. Emperor Velthar of the Dominion sat rigid on his crystalline throne, his 6 arms trembling as he stared at the transmission data before him. The numbers were impossible. The signatures were unmistakable. Humanity had returned. "Confirm the readings," he commanded, his voice barely above a whisper. Senator Crix Knoll, his chief intelligence officer, manipulated the holographic display with nervous precision. "My Emperor, our deep space sensors have detected astronomical activity along the void frontier. Thousands of jump signatures." "No," he paused, recalculating, "millions of jump signatures." 3,000 years ago, the Galactic Dominion had made what they believed was their greatest decision. Humanity then, a fledgling species with barely 50 colonies, had dared to question the Dominion's absolute authority. They had spoken of concepts like freedom and self-determination, dangerous ideas that threatened the perfect order the Dominion had maintained for millennia. The solution had been elegant, complete exile. Every human settlement was given a single ultimatum: leave known space forever, or face total annihilation. The humans, outgunned and outnumbered, had chosen exile. They had gathered their entire civilization and vanished beyond the void frontier, into the unexplored darkness between galactic arms. The Dominion had assumed they would die in the cold emptiness, forgotten by history. They had been catastrophically wrong. "Emperor," came the urgent voice of Fleet Admiral Zeftar over the communication array. "You need to see this. Our border patrols are reporting structures. Massive structures appearing throughout the frontier zone. The main display activated, showing the feed from the border fleet." What they saw defied comprehension. Stretching across light years of space were geometric patterns of lights, not random settlements, but organized, planned, vast beyond imagination. Dyson spheres wrapped around entire star systems. Artificial ring worlds spun in perfect formation. Space elevators connected planets to orbital cities that rivaled moons in size. And at the edge of it all, a fleet that blackened the stars. "How many ships?" Velthar asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Our computers have stopped counting at 50 million, my Emperor. And they're still emerging from hyperspace." Senator Crix Knoll pulled up historical records with shaking appendages. "My Emperor, when we exiled them, humanity possessed approximately 200 vessels and controlled 53 worlds. How could they possibly?" His words were cut short as a new transmission began broadcasting on all frequencies. The image that appeared was human, a woman with silver hair and eyes that held the weight of millennia. She wore no military uniform, no royal regalia, simply a dark robe that seemed to absorb light itself. "Greetings, Galactic Dominion," she said, her voice carrying across the void with crystal clarity. "I am Director Elena Vasquez, speaking for the human collective. We have returned." Velthar found his voice. "This is Emperor Velthar of the Galactic Dominion. You were exiled by lawful decree. Your presence in Dominion space constitutes an act of war." Elena smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "War? No, Emperor. War implies two sides with a chance of victory. What you see before you is judgment." The display behind her shifted, showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. What had once been empty void beyond the frontier was now alive with countless lights, each one representing human habitation. "In the 3,000 years since our exile," Elena continued, "humanity has done what we do best: we adapted, we expanded, and we evolved. While you maintained your stagnant empire of a mere 100,000 worlds, we colonized 1,000,000. The number hit the Senate chamber like a physical blow. 1,000,000 worlds. The Dominion, in all its ancient glory, controlled barely a tenth of that number." "Impossible," Velthar breathed. "The resources required, the technology. You exiled us to die in the void. Elena's voice carried a cold fury that made the Emperor's blood freeze. "Instead, you gave us the greatest gift possible: unlimited space to grow. No borders to respect, no ancient treaties to honor, no established powers to negotiate with. Just endless darkness, filled with resources waiting to be claimed." The display zoomed in on various human colonies. Worlds that had been completely restructured, from core to atmosphere. Asteroid belts converted into vast manufacturing complexes. Entire star systems rewired to maximize energy output. "We built our first Dyson sphere around year 500 of Exile," Elena explained conversationally. "By year 1000, we had perfected planet-cracking technology. By year 2000, we had learned to manufacture matter from pure energy. And by year 3000, we had populated more worlds than your Dominion even knew existed." Admiral Zeftar's voice crackled over the comm with barely controlled panic. "Emperor, our sensors are detecting energy signatures consistent with star-lifting operations. They're moving entire stars to more convenient locations." "We didn't just survive your exile," Elena continued, as if she could hear the Admiral's report. "We thrived beyond your wildest nightmares. Every world we touched became more productive than your most fertile planets. Every system we entered became a nexus of industry that could outproduce your entire empire." Behind her, the display showed time-lapse recordings of human expansion planets, transformed in decades, solar systems reorganized like gardens, space itself bent to serve human will. "But the most important thing we developed," Elena said, her eyes boring into the camera with laser intensity, "was memory. Every child born in exile learned the story of our banishment. Every generation was raised with the knowledge that somewhere in the galaxy, an empire existed that had tried to erase us from existence." Veldhar's 6 arms were now visibly shaking. "What? What do you want?" "Justice," Elena replied simply. "For 3,000 years, you believed yourselves the masters of the galaxy. You ruled through fear, crushed dissent, and destroyed any civilization that dared dream of freedom. That ends today." The holographic display expanded, showing the true scope of the human return. It wasn't just ships; entire star systems were moving, relocated by technologies that treated stellar mechanics like a child's toy. Artificial worlds, the size of gas giants, hung in perfect formation. Industrial complexes that could manufacture planets were positioned at strategic points throughout the galaxy. "We are not here to negotiate," Elena announced. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to replace. Your dominion is obsolete, a relic of a time when scarcity created tyrants and fear maintained order. Humanity offers something you never could: abundance. You're demanding unconditional surrender," Veldhar said, his voice hollow. "We're offering transformation," Elena corrected. "Every species under Dominion rule will be given a choice: join the human collective as equals, with full access to our technologies and unlimited worlds, to inhabit or continue supporting a dying empire that hoards resources and stifles growth." The transmission began to fade, but Elena's final words echoed through the chamber with the weight of inevitability. "You have 72 hours to respond, Emperor. After that, we begin demonstrating why a civilization with 1,000,000 worlds doesn't need to ask permission." As the transmission ended, the Senate chamber remained in stunned silence. Outside, through the vast windows of the capital world, they could see new stars appearing in the sky, human vessels taking position around their most sacred planets. The exile was over. The age of the Dominion was ending, and humanity, once driven into the darkness, had returned as lords of the void itself. Emperor Veldhar stared at the impossible fleet surrounding his homeworld and realized that in trying to destroy humanity, the Dominion had created something far more terrifying than any enemy they had ever faced. They had created humanity's future.